Hello.
Uh-oh. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's hump day.
Hump day?
It's hump day.
Hump day?
Apologize, everybody. Just realized I didn't have any sound there at the very beginning. In any case, welcome. Very much appreciate having you here at the Rundown. I am your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And while Mike is not here today, he is off working, doing his thing, but you're here, I'm here. So we're going to talk about the news and have a good old time in his absence. In any case, let's start how we usually do, and you know how that works. We always start with a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with the folks at Hitman Industries. Now, they make rifle and pistol caliber barrels that are available for you to purchase at any length. Just go to hitmanindustries.net. If you've purchased an AR recently, chances are you already have one of their barrels. So if you're looking to do a brand new rifle, maybe you're looking to do a rebarrel your old rifle. Either way, start your experience with Hitman Industries. Now we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all levels of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. In fact, Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. You need to find out why. Just go to cragop.org. That's cragop.org and check them out today. Then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market, and you will find them at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. All you have to do is go there. And by the way, it's HAWG because they basically what they want to say is they like helping Americans wear guns. They like it so much, they're willing to give you a discount. Just use the discount, the Rundown, all caps, one word, no spaces, and make sure you get your hog holster on discount today. Next up, we have the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun, and that would be at uscombatgear.com. They specialize in group sales, so you need to get your group together, get your agency together, get your department together, and head on over to uscombatgear.com, where they have a huge selection. They have competitive prices, and they have the best customer service out there. Check them out today, US Combat Gear, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. Now, if you're watching the program live, if you're watching the program 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, then you are watching us live. And if you are watching us live, well, we would love to hear from you. That's right. We would absolutely, positively love to hear from you. And just know this. Doesn't really matter. Here's the thing. Just be entertained. What we ask is that you be entertaining. And one of the best ways to actually entertain us, well, quite frankly, that is to be that would be to disagree with us. And because if you disagree with us, then that just then gives us the opportunity to mock you.
Oh, wow. Is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
As Mike would say, we will mock you. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. If it seems like every time we're reporting on stuff coming out of California, it seems kind of crazy, or that we're reporting on more and more stuff that comes out of California, it's because so many things that come out of California are just beyond belief, to be quite honest. I mean, so many things that come out of California are just so wackadoodle crazy, and this story is no different. We do all sorts of things for inmates here in the state of California. I do not know why. I do not understand why. In particular, for death row inmates. And I don't know, I really understand why we do it. Well, I understand why we do it. It's because largely the left here, they see criminals as the victims, right? They see the victim as the criminals and the criminals as the victims. But what this one particular piece talks about, it talks about how death row inmates in the state of California, well, they actually get access to pornography. What did I say? That's right. They get access to pornography while they are in prison. This article here is from City Journal. And I'm going to read a little bit of this to you. It says, watching porn on California's death row. Under Gavin Newsom, state prisoners are turning taxpayer-funded tablets into personal sex machines. Under Governor Gavin Newsom, California has sought to transform its massive prison system into a Nordic-style rehabilitation program. Newsom has placed a moratorium on all executions, transferred condemned prisoners to facilities across the state, dismantled San Quentin State Prison's death row, and turned the notorious prison into a therapeutic center with art classrooms and a cafe and podcast studios. As part of the transformation, Newsom administration approved a $189 million contract to provide new digital tablets, generic flat screen devices in a plastic shell to every inmate in the state prison system at no cost to offenders. The administration heralded the efforts to replace inmates' old tablets, which were piloted in 2018 and given to nearly all prisoners by 2023 as a step towards digital equity for justice-impacted individuals. Justice impact, I like that. You mean people who committed crimes and are in jail. Anyway, who could, in theory, use the devices to contact their families, consume educational content, and learn new technology. In reality, taxpayer-funded tablets have also been used for more lurid endeavors. In this exclusive City Journal investigation, we contacted dozens of death row inmates who told us that the prisoners in the state system use such devices to watch pornography and have explicit sexual conversations. Some prisoners, according to a former high-ranking California corrections official, use their tablets to groom minors. Though the state has claimed to regulate explicit content, the inmates told us that users can easily evade detection. When reached for comment, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation said the tablets were tightly controlled educational tools that provided inmates with access to the Bible, education, and reentry resources that actually reduce crime. But inmates told us a very different story. For some, the devices have become personal sex machines. In the words of one inmate, California's death row is populated with desperately horny criminals who see the tablets as a way to satisfy their basest fantasies and desires, all thanks to the California taxpayer. In the 1980s, rapist and serial murderer Robert Murray earned the nickname the Tipster Killer for calling in anonymous tips identifying the locations of the dead bodies he left behind. During this period, he killed a woman by strangling her with a nylon clothesline, strangled and killed another 2 women, and brutally raped the 4th before he was caught by authorities. Now, Murray is living at a state prison facility in Stockton, California, where he has viewed pornography on his taxpayer-funded digital tablet. In an interview, Murray said us inmates can receive nude pictures and watch pornography through their devices. In his case, he claimed to have received a topless photo of a 22-year-old German psychology student who was hoping that I would share, quote, was hoping that I would share my story with her class for her class project. While the student sent the photo, Murray said he flirted with her, quote, for a while. Now, this is exactly what, once again, what liberals see as justice, right? In other words, this guy is not only a rapist, he's a murderer. He is for lack of a better term, a serial murderer. And his punishment, instead of getting death as he's supposed to get, his crimes were so heinous in the state of California that they deemed that he deserved to lose his life. Instead, he is now, checking out porn on the internet. Not just checking out porn on the internet, but he is basically, sounds like, grooming someone else to basically try and get her to come on in there and get raped. Maybe he'll convince this young student to marry him. And then when they get married, then when she comes in, he'd probably try to rape her and kill her. But this is where California is spending its money. This is how we treat our inmates. And then we wonder why crime has gone through the roof. When criminals don't pay the price for their crimes, when they get away with it, and that's really what we're talking about here. We're talking about people getting away with it. If you've committed a crime and you do not pay the penalty for it, you have gotten away with it. And if you get away with it, then that just encourages not just you to continue to commit crimes if you ever eventually get out, but it encourages others because they know they will get away with it. In the 1990s, when we saw a dramatic reduction in crime, it was because we passed things like 3 strikes. We passed mandatory minimums. We went after criminals. And by going after criminals, we made sure that those who were committing crimes stayed in jail. And those who were thinking about committing crimes, well, they recognized that if they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to wind up in jail for a very, very long time. I do not understand why. And here's the thing. Every time we've cracked down on crime like this, it has worked. Crime has gone down. Now, you'll have some people say, well, but a disproportionate people of color wind up in jail. Well, here's the deal. If a disproportionate percentage of people of color didn't commit more crimes, or if people of color didn't disproportionately commit crimes, then we wouldn't have to worry about that, then would we? That's the sort of stuff I'm talking about. And I'm not saying that there's not underlying reasons why that happens, but first and foremost, you got to deal with the penalties. You've got to hold people accountable. You hold them accountable. You hold people accountable. You do one of 2 things. You either prevent them, you either discourage them from committing future crimes, or you prevent them from committing future crimes because they're not going to be on the streets to commit future crimes. And those who see what happens decide, not all of them, there's some people who are just bad people who are going to commit the crimes anyway, or not smart enough to know better than not to commit the crimes. But the people who are on the fence, the people who more than likely you would be looking at and say, well, maybe they're rehabilitatable, they're the people that are going to look at that and say, you know what? Maybe I just shouldn't commit the crime in the first place. Maybe that makes more sense. And then they won't commit the crime. It ain't hard. It's really not hard. It's, in fact, pretty simple to address a lot of these issues. And sadly, the Democratic Party, members of the Democratic Party are in no position to do anything about it because they lack the common sense. They govern in a world as they wished it were, not in the world as in which it is. It's funny. Mayor Karen Bass basically said that Spencer Pratt was a reality TV show star. That's what she referred to him as. And they said, therefore, he's not quality. And she said, yeah, I'm the only person living in reality. He said, I'm the only person living in reality. I'm the only person that realizes that when you make it easy on people to be drug addicts, they continue to be drug addicts. When you make it easy on people to be bums, they continue to be bums. The problem that you have in the city of Los Angeles is not a homeless problem. It is a drug addiction and crime problem. And when you hold people accountable, when you use, in particular, use the law to get them off of the streets, get them straight, right? Get them off of the drugs so that they can make good decisions. Then they're in a position to help take real advantage of those homeless services, of those wraparound services that you want to provide to them. But you don't want to do that. You just want to get them into a place to live, a place that is going to turn into a crack house 5 minutes after you let them in there. But I'm the extremist. I'm the one that's crazy. I'm just talking about governing the world based on what is, not on what you wished it was. Oh, I wanted to bring this up because, I was thinking back during Black History Month, and I totally meant to write a piece, and I'm still going to do it, but it's not going to be during Black History Month. But I was thinking about all of the characters, all the individuals, all the people who are out there who have had an impact on American history, right? And I always found it interesting that they always skip a bunch of significant figures, like, Frederick Douglass, who literally could be deemed the father of the Civil War, right? The fight for independence and the freeing of the slaves. He was a major inspiration and advisor to then President Abraham Lincoln. Whether it was Booker T. Washington, who probably did more in early America to help promote education for blacks, for newly freed blacks. This was a guy who was a slave, who educated himself and worked to educate thousands of others and helped start schools and really talked about the importance of making yourself marketable, developing skills, developing worth ethic and reputation, providing services and products that are beneficial. And the best way for newly freed black slaves, for blacks to advance, is by providing for the community, by meeting needs, and thus providing economic value. I think of folks like Condoleezza Rice, who was Secretary of State, who really did a lot to make America and really represented America well on the grand stage. Then went on to lead Stanford University. I think of Clarence Thomas. I think of Thomas Sowell, the great economist. Everyone talks about how racist Republicans are, but when you think about economists that people talk about nowadays, even more than Milton Friedman, you hear the name Thomas Sowell, right? There are a few economists that are more well thought of on the right than Thomas Sowell. There are a few political commentators, community commentators, that are more well thought of than him. And then you think about, you really think about someone who grew up, I'm talking son of sharecroppers, who grew up in poverty, in abject poverty, and by the very definition pulled himself up by his bootstraps. He got a law degree. He became successful even before affirmative action was a thing. Affirmative action was not a thing. For people to say, oh, well, he benefited from affirmative action. No, he didn't. Affirmative action was not a thing as Clarence Thomas came up. But Clarence Thomas has had a greater impact on law than most people of our time. I would probably say the only justice of my time that had a greater, more significant impact on law was probably Scalia, and Thomas is surpassing him. Alito may catch up, may be there. Alito may be right there, but I'm talking, I always call them the three horsemen, because Alito, Scalia, and Thomas are just, they are legal geniuses, right? And they are people who understand the founding of this nation, what has made this nation great, the values that have made this nation great, and how those values are enumerated in our Constitution. And I also recognize that this is an individual who, quite frankly, is denigrated, is called names, all sorts of names, and the hateful way in which the racist and hateful way in which he is treated by those on the left. This would never be tolerated. If someone had said something like this about Ketanji Brown Jackson, they would lose their frigging minds over there on the left. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about this. Democrat lawmaker calls Clarence Thomas an Uncle Tam and a lynchman after Supreme Court redistricting ruling. State Representative Wanda Lynn Given launched a blistering attack on U.S. Supreme Court Associate Justice Clarence Thomas in a fiery video Monday, calling him an Uncle Tom and a lynchman, as well as accusing him of betraying the black community. Her remarks came in response to a Monday Supreme Court ruling on redistricting, in which the justices struck down the 2023 court-ordered congressional map that helped create an additional Democratic district-leaning seats in the 2024 elections. The decision could clear the way for contested maps that would eliminate 2 Democrat-held congressional seats, potentially impacting Representatives Terry Sewell and Shomari Figures. In a scathing rebuke, Given argued that Thomas has undermined minority representation in Congress and went further, likening him to the slave trader and to a sellout within his own community. Quote, he must have been the one that sold us out in Africa. He must have been his ancestors had to be the ones that sold us out in Africa. That caused us to be chained, Gavin said on Facebook. He is a man who has turned us back into the hands of the master. Now, this, mind you, she claims, because he follows the law. You know, the law, in particular, Section 2 of the Civil Rights Act, basically says that you're not supposed to select districts, or you're not supposed to use race as a factor in terms of choosing political representation, in terms of drawing lines that allow people to use representations. But the left has pretty much taken that to mean the exact opposite. And left-leaning courts have said that as well. Their whole thing is, well, you can't discriminate. They're like, we're using present discrimination to write past discrimination. Keep ignoring the fact that we're talking, this was 70 years or 60 years ago that this happened. 60 years ago. And that these districts in the South, these places like Alabama, like Mississippi, like Georgia, have changed significantly. They have many Black representatives that, by the way, many of which are not in majority Black districts. And yet this is how it's like, oh, because I didn't agree with you that for you believe racism is right. You believe that discrimination, is correct, that it's okay. And all he's saying is, we're going to follow the law. We're going to follow the Constitution. And for that, you denigrate him? For that, you call him an Uncle Tom? Now, I know you meant that as an insult, but when I hear people say that, one of the things I also remember is, Uncle Tom was the hero of the book. Uncle Tom saved his fellow slaves. I mean, I realize you're like, oh, well, he was shucking and jiving and all of that, but he saved other slaves through his actions. He helped people get free. Yes, he was the hero of the book. But see, that's how ignorant some of you are. Some of you are using an analogy, you're calling him a name, and you don't even really know what it means. Because you are brainwashed. You have chosen to be, even worse, you have chosen to be brainwashed. You are not just ignorant, you are willfully ignorant. And maybe it is. Maybe the only way in which you can get elected is by running in a district that's majority Black, because who knows, maybe you think the Black folks ain't smart enough to realize that you're ignorant. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the problem. What was her name again? Ms. Given. Maybe that's it. Maybe the people who elected you are just not quite smart enough to realize how ignorant you really are. And you're afraid you're going to get found out. Yep. I'll bet you that's it right there. I'll bet you that is 99.9% it. All right, moving along. Everytown claims that ATF has been captured by the gun industry. Oh, this is an interesting one. Hardy har har. This is a piece that's over at Bearing Arms. Our good friend, Mr. Cam Edwards, wrote this one. Everytown, well, we all know they're full of puppycock. Anyway, it says here, Everytown claims ATF has been captured by the gun industry. The Biden years were bad for America, but it was the golden age for the gun control lobby. Biden established the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention and staffed it with anti-gun activists, imposed a number of executive orders aimed at gun owners, including an effort to impose universal background checks without congressional approval, and even tried to install gun control advocate and Gifford's senior advisor, David Chipman, as the head of the ATF. The effort failed, but Biden's second choice was still a gun control supporter who went along with every one of the administration's attacks on gun owners and the firearm industry. Those days are over. Recently confirmed ATF Director Robert Cicada, who was approved on a bipartisan vote in the Senate, and ATF General Counsel Robert Leader have proposed nearly 36 rule changes for the agency, and the vast majority of them offer improvements over the anti-gun regulations crafted by the previous administration. Understandably, the gun control lobby isn't happy about these developments, but Everytown is still nutty for proclaiming that ATF has been captured by the firearms industry. Now, I guess this is from them, from Everytown. It says, in many of the proposed rules, the ATF explicitly says that they were designed to benefit the gun industry. For example, the ATF estimates that 3.28 million gun buyers would take advantage of one of the agency's most troubling proposals, allowing FFLs to ship guns directly to a buyer's door without visiting a brick and mortar location in what is known as a non-over-the-counter transaction. The ATF states that the rule is focused on reducing restrictions and removing barriers for these gun sales, and acknowledges that convenience is certainly a factor for the firearms purchasers, such as repeat purchasers, echoing language used by online retailers like Donald Trump Jr.'s grab a gun. See, and then this is going back to him. And what's so troubling about this? Under the proposed rule, gun buyers would still have to prove their identity to FFLs and would still undergo a NICS check before they could purchase a firearm. Would this benefit gun buyers? Yep. Would it facilitate gun trafficking? Nope. So what's the issue? Here's another one where they had issue. Another ATF proposal would double the length of time that the background check. Would double the length of time that a background check for a completed Form 4473 is valid for creating a risk that a person will become prohibited in that period, but still be able to purchase a firearm. Incredibly, the ATF states that the proposed increases the risk of a prohibited person will obtain a firearm and use it, quote, to inflict massive casualties when they would have been prevented under the current baseline requirement and renewed background check. Not so incredibly, Lincolnbrook is leaving out some crucial parts of the ATF's rationale for expanded validity of the Form 4473 from 30 days to 2 months. Here's what the agency wrote about the proposed rule. Internal records show that the 30-day time limit is causing many technical violations for FFLs. Over the past 5 years, 619 inspections have recorded 1,050 violations of the 30-day rule. This technical violation, which has been cited among other substantive violations, contributed to the revoking of 95 federal firearms licenses, with another 237 FFLs receiving warning conferences. Of the 10,500 violations, 78% were within the calendar 2 months of the original check. So the whole idea is a NICS background check should not, let me say this again, I'm sorry, it's the validity of the background check, right? I was thinking about how long it takes. So in other words, the whole point here is that all they're saying is it should be valid. Why should someone have to go through every 30 days have to go through a NICS background check? Making it easier for people to exercise their rights is not being captured by the gun industry. All you're doing, once again, is making it possible for people to fundamentally exercise their rights. I'm still, once again, trying to figure out what the exact problem is here. Why do they have a problem with it? Well, I'll tell you why they have a problem with it. Because they don't like guns. They just don't. They don't want people to be able to exercise their fundamental rights. And that, my friends, right there is the key. It is a right that they do not like. And so therefore, they want to do everything possible to keep you from being able to exercise it. They're not worried about criminals getting a hold of guns. They're really not. First of all, most guns used in crimes, and we've talked about this a million times, are not even in the hands of the person who bought it. They're not even in the hands of the person who went through the background check. Once again, they don't care about that, because if they cared about that, they would recognize not a problem. Most of the objections that they come up with for stuff, most of the laws that they come up with for stuff, don't fix a thing that they claim that it's supposed to fix. It really doesn't. Their objections are simply because they don't like guns. And that's all it's really about, is their hatred of firearms and the people who want to own them. All right, this one is interesting. So now, anyone who knows, and I'm pretty sure, and I could be 100% wrong, but I'm pretty sure Billy Bob Thornton is not a conservative, right? But Billy Bob Thornton, kind of like Michael Jordan, understands that, in particular, the show he's on now, Landman, he understands that a lot of conservatives watch that show, and they like that show. And he's not going to engage in politics while on that show because, well, he's not, or at least he's not going to be using it as a platform to comment on politics. Because guess what? He likes his job. He likes being popular, right? It's a well-written show, and he is the star of it. And while Billy Bob Thornton has been in a lot of things, I don't know that he has been as popular as he is right now on this show right now. But that didn't stop the folks over at The View. The View hosts erupt as Billy Bob on Billy Bob Thornton for choosing not to force his politics down his audience's throat. Silence is complicity, they said. And here's the exact video conversation.
Landman star Billy Bob Thornton was recently on Howie Mandel's podcast, and he shared his thoughts on politically active celebrities. Take a look.
I'm not really big on like at award shows all of a sudden start talking about saving the Badgers and stuff. It's like you'll get your, like Ricky Gervais said, it's like get your little award and off, you know.
Right.
I don't know anything about politics. I have no idea. I mean, and the stuff that I believe about it, I don't want to force it down somebody else's throat because I'm not an expert on that.
All right.
Yeah. Well, imagine bragging about how uninformed you are.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think he's saying more, it's like, I'm not an expert, so my opinion.
No,
like,
I don't know anything about politics. You're an American citizen. Don't you watch the
well,
news?
I would say
Don't you
that
read the paper? Come
I
on.
do think the civic participation, our vote is a privilege that so many have died for and fought for, that to be participating in our political structure, you need to inform yourself enough to vote. I don't think that every celebrity needs to scream from the mountaintop what their thoughts are, because I'd much rather see them march door to door and recruit people voting in your local government, helping people.
No, but they have an influence. I mean, Springsteen right now and Robert De Niro have big audiences.
No, they have.
And so does, wait a minute, so does John Voight and Kid Rock, okay?
No, they have audience.
All of them have the right to speak out.
They do. Right? They have the right to.
You use your platform.
See, and the only people applauding them, though, are people that agree with them.
I actually do think you have an obligation. I think we are at a crisis point in this country. I think democracy is participatory. I think when you have a platform, that means you have an outsized voice. And when you have a platform, I think that you have a responsibility to speak up about what's going on in this country. In my view, silence is complicity.
And every minute,
we need every single ally to speak out.
All right, so if there was ever a show that demonstrated that not being an expert is a detriment, it's The View. These are people who are supposed to be informed, and they are so misinformed and so utterly ignorant. I have no other way to put it other than utterly ignorant. The only people who really watch the show are the people who watch the segments like we do, like I do, like I play those segments to show you just how ignorant these people are. They're dumb. They're ignorant. They hate America. And they don't even realize that all of the things that they preach against, all of the things that they hate is what allows them to do what they do. They're just... They first of all, you notice they don't really allow people to come and when someone comes and debates them, they look stupid every single time. There has yet to be a single time where they have brought on somebody that they disagreed with that did not make them look like a bunch of horses' asses. Every single one of them. And yes, you have a right to speak out, but not everyone needs to speak out. Not everyone should speak out. And all Billy Bob Thornton said was, look, I'm not an expert on politics. What he decided was, he's not saying he's right. He's not saying he's left. He said, I'm not going to go out in the public and start promoting issues that I don't know anything about. I'm not going to be a horse's ass like those horses' asses on The View. And that's exactly what they are. They're a bunch of horses' asses. And I think he is right for not wanting to be one of them. And Billy Bob, once again, appreciate you, sir. Because I've seen on some of these shows where on the show, they do a lot of political posturing, and I can handle some, right? But I've stopped watching shows that I watched for a long time because they got way too woke and way too political, in particular on the left. I can see if it's a political show. Even, for example, like I've been in the middle of a marathon. I won't say marathon, but I've been going back and binging West Wing. And that's a decidedly liberal show. Now, mind you, whenever they present conservatives, they never do it correctly. They never present the conservative arguments correctly. The only time they present conservative arguments correctly is when they're the ones that are making them. And they make it out like that's the liberal perspective. But you and I both know it's not. Anyway. But I can handle some. What I can't handle is full-blown ignorance, which is what they usually wind up doing. All right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code of The Rundown, all capsule spaces, one word, and get your hog holster today. All right, this first one here, I wanted to bring you another Spencer Pratt commercial. These things, this is the guy who's running for mayor of Los Angeles. Once again, I don't know who is making these for him, but they are hilarious, and I will continue to share them with you guys. If you get a chance, man, kick a few bucks down, help Mr. Pratt take over Los Angeles.
What does dangerous Spencer Pratt have in mind for Los Angeles?
I make a living giving drug needles to unhoused individuals, and Spencer wants to put me out of the job.
Spencer wants to force me to get treatment and turn my life around instead of dying on the streets. What kind of bully forces people to do things?
As a busy mom, running away from the crazy drug addicts in our park is the only exercise I get. Spencer wants to get rid of them. Does he want me to be fat?
A vote for Spencer is a vote for change. Why would you vote for change when everything is fine? Stay the course with Karen Bass. Smile, damn it!
Don't take the bait. Stay the course with Bass.
Oh, I was incorrect. That was a Karen Bass commercial. Yeah, that's fun stuff. Now, you guys remember back when Joe Biden said, back during the election, when Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black? Well, it turns out that wasn't just an insult. It was a threat.
My name is Will, and not voting for Biden turned me white. Oh, yo, what's up, my fellow business associate? This was me before the election. Every celebrity, every politician, even my own family warned me that if I was black, I'd vote Biden. But I didn't listen. Then November 3rd, I woke up like this. I'm looking at Kim Kardashian right now. It does nothing for me. I'm a black man trapped in a white man's body. I'm a male Rachel Dolezal. I'm a male Dolezal. Finger on the trigger. 2 shots on a pinger. Tinger, ginger. Maybe, I don't know, shoot a ginger maybe. People seem to love when you identify as all sorts of things, but now that I'm an actual black man trapped in the body of this dweeb, no one wants to acknowledge it. I used to be like you. I tried to get a haircut today at my favorite barbershop. He told me he doesn't cut lettuce. I don't know, maybe I'll do like a Sean King beard and hairline or something. Honestly, I don't know. Now when I holler at girls in the street, instead of thinking I'm a cool guy, they think I'm a friggin' homeless person. Yeah, what's up, girl? How you doing? Okay, sorry. I'm getting cussed out by white girls now. I can kiss jean suits goodbye. When I put them on now, I look like a friggin' hick. It's a Canadian tuxedo. I'm glad someone's happy. I talked to 50 Cent, Little Pump, Thomas Sowell. They're all starting to turn. Kanye got off the Trump train just in time. Yeah, it always works out for Kanye, doesn't it? The other day I watched Tyler Perry and didn't laugh once. Adam Sandler, on the other hand, I now love. Yesterday I did sensitivity training at work and the girl tried to make me admit that I'm racist towards black people. Bitch, I am black! Sorry, I know I can't call girls bitches anymore without social repercussions. Try telling people you like Dragon Ball Z as a grown white man. Maybe I'll be like an environment guy now or something, I don't fucking know. Chelsea called me to remind me that I'm black. But this is how you I'm friggin' singing Nickelback now. I look like a fucking douchebag. Hang 10, dude, that's me now. That's my fucking life. I was looking forward to aging into an old black man, you know? Big belt buckle, unreasonably fancy suits for normal life. Some dude just gave me an atheism pamphlet. Yesterday I drank out of a red cup and I had the urge to flip it. I'm trying to look on the bright side. I mean, I didn't really have that big of a dick for a black guy, so that's a positive. I got a cab a little easier, I guess that's something. Not helping. Celebrities are always right, take it from me. Stay blue and stay black.
Yeah, that guy is hilarious. So is this guy. By the way, just so you know, if you are a radical leftist, neo-Marxist activist, you might soon be out of a job. And this is an attempt to really help make sure that you're taken care of.
Hi, I'm Nick Peterson. Every single hour in America, a socialist is faced with the daunting reality that they may have to contribute to society. For thousands of others, help came too late and they were forced to find employment. Will you be an angel for a helpless communist in training? Every day, hundreds of socialists must abandon their slam poetry meetups for the evils of personal responsibility. They're forced to participate in a free market where, unfortunately, individual achievement could possibly lead to prosperity. They're crying out for your handout, and only you can save them from drowning in student debt from a degree in feminist dance theory. Please visit the website on your screen and join the SPCS with a monthly gift right now. For just $6,000 a month, only 20,000 cents a day, you'll help rescue a socialist from the perils of employment and provide shelter among rising rent costs that they were tricked into voting for. Public transportation that they were told would be free. Tattoos and piercings they otherwise couldn't afford. Crayons for their signs, and daily Starbucks. Join in the next 30 minutes and you'll receive this free Karl Marx sticker to put on your MacBook Pro. Right now, there's a socialist freeloader who needs you. Your donation says, "I'm here to help keep your failed ideology on life support." We promise your donation won't be used for an airline ticket to a socialist country, but instead to bring that ideology here, because this time will be different. So please visit thespcs.com right now, and together we can achieve our mission of an equal opportunity starvation nation. Thank you.
I know some of y'all right now, you getting out your credit cards right now and you're heading over there to check it out. I've not checked out to see if that is an actual website, but I will be doing that after the program. In any case, folks, that brings us to the end of our show. But before we go, we're going to do one more quick shout out to our sponsors. Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length at hitmanindustries.net. The California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Visit them at cragop.org. The best in concealed carry tactical holsters can be found at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, uscombatgear.com, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. And that's going to be it once again for today's program. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow on Throat Punch Thursday. Till then, you'll have fun. Stay safe, and we'll see you